Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to install DaVinci Resolve on Pop! OS 21.04 for AMD graphics cards. Now, I have been using DaVinci Resolve from long time, but I have to keep up with my older version of a Pop! OS because the AMD graphics drivers are not released for the newer version of a kernel. Pop! OS 21.04 comes with 5.13 kernel version and is not compatible with the AMD graphics cards, AMD OpenCL graphics card. So whenever you try to install AMD Pro graphics cards, proprietary drivers, it will end up with error on kernel modules. So in this video, I'm going to show you a small workaround to fix this, and then you can still use 5.13 kernel. So first of all, you need DaVinci Resolve, which you can download from blackmagic.com. You need AMD proprietary drivers from AMD. You can go download it from here. Get the Radeon software for Linux version 21.20 for Ubuntu 20.04. Our distribution is 21.04. We are going to use 20.04 graphics drivers. So once we have those, go in and check your kernel version, which will be like 5.13, like what I have. Now, like I said, the AMD proprietary graphics drivers are not compatible with 5.13, but they are compatible with 5.11 kernel version. Unfortunately, Pop! OS ships with two different kernels, 5.13 and 5.11. So all we have to do is purge the 5.13 kernel and then boot it in 5.11, install the AMD proprietary drivers, and then update back to 5.13. Now I could change the system boot entry by introducing time delay and switch to 5.11. But for some reason, if I install booting 5.11 and then I reboot, system does not boot. So the only way I found out is by uninstalling 5.13 and reinstalling back once DaVinci Resolve is functional. So to remove the 5.13 kernel, all you have to do is sudo apt purge Linux image 5.13. Just press tab, it will autocomplete, and then enter your password. Now, anything playing around with the kernel is dangerous stuff because you may lose your system. It may not boot. So that's why we have a warning here. Instead saying just yes or no, you have to say yes, I do as I said, a phrase. So that's what we are going to do. Continue. Now again, it is warning that are you really sure you want to do this? Yes. Well, obviously it said no, because do you want to stop? And I said, no, I don't want to stop. Continue uninstalling. So now we got rid of our 5.13 kernel. Now we'll update our RAM-fs file system by running update initfs. So this will remove the entry from the boot. So system D boot entries will have two entries, 5.13 and 5.11. By running this command, now it will get rid of 5.13 because that kernel doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so we are good. Now the next step is we have to reboot the system because the current version, kernel version, if we check, is still 5.13, and this will only take effect, or 5.11 will be effective once we reboot into that specific kernel. So I will reboot my system and then we'll resume. So now system rebooted into 5.11, which we can verify by running uname-a. So now it says we are on 5.11, and this is the kernel version compatible with AMD Pro graphics drivers. Now there's another thing we need to do before running the installation script. AMD graphics drivers are not supported officially for Pop! OS, so they rely on identity maintained in a OS release file, and they look there. So they are compatible with Ubuntu, and Pop! OS is a distribution forked from Ubuntu, so it's safe to just change the attribute. So we'll go to etc or etc os release. And if you don't do this step anyway, the installation script is gonna point that. So here we'll say Ubuntu save, and now we'll run the installation script. Now you can check all the available options by running help. So we have we need this one, legacy and ROCR and Pro. So this is what I used. Run as an execution script, AMD Pro install. I'm pretty sure this is redundant because we are installing Pro anyway. And OpenCL legacy and ROCR, and hit enter. Okay, so there are a bunch of things it's going to install. It's about 1 GB, so it's huge. Okay, at this point it is compiling the kernel modules, and this is where it fails. If you try to install on 5.13 or any higher version of kernel. So far there are no errors. That means it is good. So about at 94%, the GPU fan will start spinning. I'm not sure, GPU or CPU, something. Okay, so we are past that stage and we have a successful installation. Okay, so we have OpenCL AMD proprietary graphics drivers installed. Now we can install the Vinci Resolve, and that we can do it by running a script. So I think outside in the directory here we have this file, the Vinci Resolve run. Now there are two ways you can install the Vinci Resolve. There's a maker dev file utility where you can make a deb file from .run, and then you can install as a deb package, or you can just use the run file. If it doesn't bother you, just run the run file by running as a executable script, and then this will guide through the installation wizard. So install, and this is fairly simple to install. Just a few clicks, the password, and that's it. Okay, one more time, use the password. Okay, complete, finish. We don't need this. Let's close. We don't need the browser either. Close tabs. And now let's launch Resolve. It's launching there. So on first, it doesn't launch. It says force quit. So if it stuck on the launch page or splash screen, just cancel it or force quit, and then it will launch automatically. So this is how it will bring you on the page. Now, if I open this, it works. If the OpenCL drivers are missing, then it will show a window where you have to select a GPU, and GPUs will not be listed in that selection box because there are missing graphics drivers. Now, This is working fine. But since we have changed our kernel version from 5.13 to 5.11, which is kind of a outdated kernel, and if you want to keep it with the latest kernel, now you can go back and update your kernel. And the way you can do it is by just launching the Pop OS software installation shop, or what it is called, Pop Shop. Go to install. This is going to show you the recommendation to update your system kernel. And this also highlights that we are missing 5.13, which is the latest kernel. So now we'll update it. And this does not break the compatibility. Once you install DaVinci Resolve, and if you upgrade the kernel, those kernel modules still work. I'm pretty sure they are not using kernel modules. They are using something else. But kernel is used to build those tool chains or libraries. So once it installs the Pop OS, we'll update our in the RAM-FS or RAM file system. Technically, the update process itself should reinitialize or should update the RAM-FS. But if it doesn't, we do it just manually by running sudo update init RAM-FS and update. So this one is complete, installed. Yeah, there are no more recommended updates, so we are good. And now let's update the RAM-FS. Typically, if we run update int RAM-FS, this regenerates the boot options in the grub or system name, system D, whatever type you are using for. In this case, it's a system D. That's what is controlling the boot process. So it will add an entry. There will be 2 entries. Okay, so now our kernel is still 5.11. Let me restart and then it will boot into 5.13. Okay, so I rebooted my system. I'm back in, and now if I check my kernel version, it is 5.13. And if I launch the Vinci Resolve, or if I launch Resolve, it should work. The splash screen shows on another different screen, but here you can see it now. Open, close, and it works. So this is how I use. I had different systems for recording, and I had a different VM for editing. But now having everything at one place helps me to be organized. So I record video in the same VM, and then I edit in the same VM before I put it on a YouTube. So I hope this will help you to install DaVinci Resolve in Pop OS 2104 for AMD graphics cards. Thank you.